Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order for the Wells Springs Unified Union School District. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first order of business is to approve the agenda. I'll make that motion. Motion by George. All those in favor? Please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. General public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak tonight? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. So we have the minutes from June 11th and 3 warrants, 404, 409, and 411. And personnel. Any questions and discussion on the consent agenda? Actually had a question. It has under extracurricular, and I don't know if you have the answer to this tonight, Chris, but okay. For Rich Holcomb, it says water system operator for FY25 for Wells Village School, and then FY26 for Middletown Springs Elementary School. Well, what about FY26 for Wells Village School, and or is that for? Because is that just basically double? So that's not MSES. That's for the whole district.
I can check on that. I believe it's for the whole district, but I'll double check. I can answer for you in August if it's okay.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine.
Or I can email the forward so I have that answer.
Yeah. Okay. I think that'd be good. That was the only question I had about that. So, so if there's no questions, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Meredith. Matt?
Sorry, I just had a question about the basketball court in Wells. I thought that the Modern Woodsmen were donating that, but maybe that was a misconception.
Yeah, something about. Does that have to do with the consent agenda, or?
It was. Well, wasn't it an item on the budget on one of the budgets, the expenses? It was. There's a $4,000 charge for the basketball hoop installation.
Oh, which warrant are you looking at?
I gotta find it. I'm sorry, but I was just curious because I thought it rang like the Modern Woodsmen were donating the basketball. That's what I thought, but I must have gotten that wrong. I just wanted to confirm.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. The upgraded basketball hoops in Wells Village School, and yep. I think that was a matching grant fund or a matching fund from the MW. I'm not 100% sure, but
okay. I mean, I don't mind us spending money on a basketball hoop. I was just curious. I'm
well, good. And I don't want to. I do recall seeing it when I reviewed the warrants, and so I'm not sure exactly how, but I do recall seeing it in there.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to distribute the funds or anything, but maybe we can get an answer on that if you want.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing it. I just don't remember exactly how exactly.
Yeah. I'm looking. Yeah, I found it. It's on the Warrant 409, second page. Tri-state folding partitions, install basketball hoop, Wells Village School, 4,000. June 25th, 25.
Yep. And I think you could probably just email Lewis to just clarify how that
Okay, I can
was
do-
all
I can
all
do-
that financing shook out.
I can take that on.
Okay. All right. So if there's no other questions, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, Amanda?
Hi, I'm sorry. I hopped on a little late and I caught the end of that. Matt was questioning the install for the basketball hoops at Wells. Was that the question?
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
one,
just thought that the modern, for some reason, and I can't pinpoint in my brain when this happened, but I thought the Modern Woodsman were donating the installation of a new basketball court, but
And I know PTO members were there installing, so I'm not sure. I can't answer, but I think what the Modern Woodman did was match the amount when we were fundraising, and then it was installed by PTO. But maybe Carol knows more if we ask.
okay. I'll email Carol and Lewis. Thank you.
all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. On to finance, again, informational, if anyone had any questions, you can bring it up now or. Okay, and then we'll move on to superintendent's report.
All right, thanks, Eric. Typically, we don't have a lot to report in July. Start to slow down just for a month as we start getting ready for budgeting for next year and things. I know that Middletown Springs welcoming a new principal, Augusta Billingby, who will be here at the board meeting in August. It should be at the admin retreat next week, so she'll start to be around now. She's in the process of just moving up here right now, relocating. So she is moving back and forth between her old home and then up here. So we would like to welcome her and just wish her all the best. I also want to just quickly say congratulations to the sixth grade classes of both Wells and Middletown Springs, and I wish them all the best as they move on in their educational careers, whether it be within the GRCSU or outside the GRCSU. Just I hope they have a smooth transition and their middle school years are highly successful. There's a lot of information in the packet. I know that you'll probably talk a little bit more about this too later on, but around H454, H480, about a week and a half ago, or on June 26th, the Superintendent Association met with Secretary Saunders. And during that time, she laid out the AOE's strategic plan. And I put a copy of all that in there. And it's just kind of a rough outline. Obviously they still have to go through the details about, what the medical outcomes are, what the next steps, but they're just some high level ideas, identify the priority areas, which really shouldn't be a shock to many of us around safe and healthy schools, college and career readiness, academic excellence, special ed, operational effectiveness. It was not necessarily a surprise for us. They do have a new motto for Roots to Wings, which was explained to us what that meant. So if you start hearing people saying they were Roots to Wings, that's their new slogan motto that they will be using moving forward, particularly around this strategic plan. What we also found very interesting was, I know as we talk about H454, a lot of people think that the first major action really is around, one, the formation of the redistricting committee, which has now been formed, which we've all heard about. He said, there's some interesting appointments, but I said hopefully they will, work with local communities, local, groups, and try to do what's best for the state of Vermont. I know it's an unenviable task because I think they're probably make somebody happy and somebody not so happy. That's kind of where we live in. But their goal still is to present at no more than 3 maps by December of next year. But there are a lot of people who believe that that's really it, just the formation committee and those maps. But the Secretary of Education laid out a series of deliverables, which I placed in your packet. So you can kind of see that there are a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. So it's not just going to be just the maps and we wait to see what happens and then we move on. But the State Board of Education has some deliverables that we need to work through. The Agency of Education has their own set of deliverables, and then there's some others around the Commission on the Future of Public Education, and there's other task groups. So there's a lot of information in here around this. It's going to be a pretty hectic year. I'm sure that's there'll be a lot of strong opinions, a lot of challenges along the way as people try to figure out where education is going to go and what's going to look like in the foreseeable future. So, and I did also want to highlight H 480, which is the miscellaneous bill. There's a lot tucked in there. The one thing, 2 things really are there: behavioral threat assessment teams, which we are well positioned. That 2.5 years ago, the SU adopted behavioral threat assessment, formed our behavioral threat assessment teams. So we are in a good position to smoothly transition to this. There are a few items we just have to address, which we'll do this summer, and then we'll roll out the staff. But it'll be minimal to no impact, to all of us. We'll kind of continue as is. And then the other part is around the cell phone and social media. And so with the cell phone, social media, that this is, that all school districts have to have a model policy in place at the start of the 26-27 school year. And basically what it boils down to is that cell phones will not be visible nor audible from bell to bell, from the moment they walk in the building to the moment they leave. And I know that for a lot of our schools, we already have such procedures in place, but it's going to be tightening some things up around that. So we'll be waiting to see what the VSBA presents to us around a model policy. We'll then work with the GRCSU policy committee on adopting it. And once we adopt it, then we will roll up. But it should not be a major shakeup for our schools, since we already have procedures in our schools that don't allow cell phones, particularly during the instructional day. I know the high schools at the Corey Valley might be a bit of a shift just because they do allow it during lunch, but that's something which we'll worry about over there. Also within this is around the social media, the fact that something we'll meet with the athletic directors and our admins on is that the social media has to be approved. Well, communication between coaches and families has to be through an approved school-sponsored site. So in the past, you may have had a coach who may use Snapchat or like a text message or Facebook to communicate. We won't do that any longer. And so we're currently looking at there are school-sponsored sites that we can monitor all communication, that we can quickly upload all communication. And so and I agree. We've been talking about this for a couple of years now. We agree with this. I think it's we want to make sure that all communication is appropriate and it is proper and done in the correct manner. The other impact of this social media is around curriculum and instruction, and the fact that staff cannot ask students to access social media as part of their homework or part of an assignment. And so we're looking to see what that may be, because I know that there are some classes in the past that have access to, say, YouTube for a certain video, and YouTube is defined as social media. So we are waiting to get more clarification on this, and once we have that, we will then work with our admin. We'll then work with our staff, and we'll also send a letter out to the community. So, like I said, the intent of the cell phone and social media piece of legislation was really around just making sure distraction free during the school day, as well as just limiting the access that we're to use social media. So if we coach sends something out, it's not going to be directed to somewhere else. Or if they're on Snapchat, then they're stuck on Snapchat for a while. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. There's a lot of other information in here, but I think those are the main items that we're really just currently taking a look at. We're not concerned about either, to be honest. So I just wanted to.
Does the bill go at all into, the students are off campus? On
No,
a field trip, on a away game?
well, so I think the field trip will be interesting because, and that's something we have to get clarification because it does say from the beginning day to the end of the day. And so a field trip typically is so that if a student would, if a teacher takes a class on a field trip, all school rules still apply. So in terms of behaviors, expectations, so we would expect that while a student may have their phone in their backpack, but it's same rules apply that they can't have their cell phone out at any time. So even as they're traveling from the school to the site, the clarification that we received is after school. So once the school day ends, so if they say they're going to an away game or be transferred somewhere, at that point that's when it ends. So students will be allowed to access cell phones during the evening hours, after school hours.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and then also to field trips that start during the school day, but you don't get back till an hour after school is done. That's usually the time when all the kids call mom and dad, hey, come and pick me up, and stuff like that, so.
Yep. Yeah, and I think these are all things I think the model policies try to take into account to these different scenarios. And like I said, I think as legislators work on legislation, there are a million different scenarios that come up that maybe they don't realize the time. But I said the spirit of it really is to make sure our students are screen free during the day and are interacting, and which as a parent I fully support. Having my daughter take a break from screens while they're in school and start interacting more in person.
Mary?
Yeah, just really quickly, did the bill give any language around schools communicating with kids on social media? I know that I just read something quickly, and maybe that's like a policy discussion at the meeting. I just wanted to bring that up really quick. Just wondering your thoughts, Chris.
So we look at where, like we're still working through some things, Mary. So I think we cannot, a school cannot use, let's say Facebook, should not be using Facebook as a way to drive people, to that main source of information. Like a school could have like an Instagram post, but people could opt into that. They could opt out of that. But that's not our main source of communication. It's just, and I think that's where they're trying to draw the line, is that there are schools that will use social media for a variety of purposes to highlight some great things, but it's not, the intent is not to drive someone there. That's the sole purpose. And it's really more around the kids, not as much as the adults. Does that make sense, Mary?
It does. Great. Thanks, Chris.
Amanda, is your hands up? Is that left over, or did you have a question?
Sorry,
Sure.
leftover. I'll take it down.
Okay, just checking. I had a question on the deliverables for the Agency of Education. Is this pretty new? I haven't,
This is, that we received this information on June 26th.
okay.
So, and like I said, I know that there have been a few news outlets that have put some of this information into a chart, but this is everything that we did receive from the secretary who shared it out with us.
Okay.
So,
No, this kind of puts things in perspective. I think this is really good information. I don't see DQS in there anyway.
no,
Just an observation.
like a bit of a pause.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah, you read my mind. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Superintendent? All right. Thank you for the report. So we're going to move on to old business. Review our board goals. So in our last meeting, we would pick up the discussion on where we left off about whether we want to have any kind of retreat. And part of that, reviewing the goals, I think was the next step. And deciding where, I guess where the priorities lie, if they remain the same, or if we want to change, amend them. Maybe we don't even need to have any kind of facilitated meeting, just go through and review them ourselves potentially. So with that, first goal, community engagement. Increase involvement of all stakeholders in the community through adaptable means, input, feedback, priorities, and active involvement. And you know, we did look at these a few months ago. Kind of went through and just if you look at the progress on there, went through the progress on there. But I guess in if we're looking at the goal as a whole, you know, I'd ask the board, do we still want to keep making progress toward this goal?
Based on conversations we had at the Greater Rutland County School Board meeting last time, I think we want to, as part of our outreach, community outreach, be a conduit for information on what's going on and with these bills that we've been discussing, what possible ramifications might be. That's what I believe we're starting that with the resolution we're going to look at. But do we go beyond that?
Yeah. I mean, I still think that there's always work to be done around community engagement, as hard as it is. But you know, one thing that you know, when we look at the progress of this, is really assessing. It's really kind of hard to assess if the methods that we've done are actually reaching people. You know what I mean? Amanda?
I would think that way. We always have new families coming in and out of our schools every year. And so I would think that as a board, we would consistently have a goal to engage with them. And so I think this is something that should always stay, and maybe our methods change. But the goal of community engagement, I think, should always be at the forefront, because so often we hear people say that they don't know, or they didn't get the message, or they weren't aware. And so I think that we should consistently be trying to connect with the community. I do think that MailChimp away. I think, you know, we still have.
We're losing yet.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I changes and do other things as well.
Okay. Anyone else?
To Amanda's point, we also have, to add to that, we also have new taxpayers moving into our towns as well. And they may be more into looking for information on how we're doing. So again, I think we need to continue it.
I agree. And you know, one thing that in regards to, as you said, George, to the new legislation, I do think that in some way we should really communicate to folks who, you know, to the communities what, I guess, this process is, the timeline for this process that we know, because it is a hefty bill, and I can't, unless folks sit down and read it through it, all of it, then you're kind of just getting it summarized from others. But I think as we did like last fall with some community forums around consolidation, that might be another potential step to at least engage with everyone in each community and at least just talk about the legislation and, you know, how it can and will impact, you know, everything that is done by the board, I guess. You know, from the redistricting to the funding component to it. Amanda?
I just wanted to add, I did do a little revamping to the MailChimp for next year, but I think it's important as a board that if we see something in a month or get an idea, you know, throughout the school year at any time, we can always change that. So if anybody at any time, board member, community member, anybody notices something that they think maybe should be in a different placement or, you know, worded differently or taken from a different approach, I've kind of been the one throwing it together, but I am open to any and all suggestions and think that we can continue to make improvements with that. So I would love more feedback.
All right. So before we move on, any other final thoughts on goal number, the first goal? Is anyone opposed to moving forward with this goal at all? Okay. All right. Number 2, fiscal responsibility. Be fiscally responsible by focusing on student needs and shared resources with effective monitoring of spending and transparent community dialogue. Discussion.
I think we've been fiscally responsible, balancing the needs of our students as well as anticipating the you know, we didn't really use the federal money to boost salaries, which I think a lot of school boards did, and thus the surprise taxes this past year when that dried up. So I think we've been pretty well fiscally conservative.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of work around consolidation stuff through this. I mean,
It's tied into community engagement. One of the sub items 4 here, it's to continue to have forums for community input. I think it's important we let the community know that their control over budgets is going to evaporate for the most part.
Yep.
So it's sort of tied into both these goals.
yeah. Yeah, and it's I think it's such a broad goal that, I mean, you know, that's one thing I like about it, because we can incorporate this into a lot of different, I guess, agenda objectives and it just kind of sets a focus, but
So it does stay. I think our scorecard is the margin of approval for our budgets, which has been safer than when I started on this board. So I think that outreach and getting the word out has been helpful.
can't remember what did the budget times 5 this year.
That much.
I mean, I was there, I can't remember. I think it was like 20 something.
I was gonna say.
This year was down, but
Yeah,
It was like 18.
But the other years have been kind of inching up.
Yeah, amazingly, last year it was pretty high, but that was the primary though too. So it turned out a lot for the primary.
All the more to
Yeah.
keep talking.
Uh,
Well, it's not gonna be our issue. Passing the budget.
yeah. Yep. And when exactly does that, I know it's kind of off topic, but when does that take effect?
Not until,
Is it 2020?
not until they draw the maps, and so it's
Yeah.
28, I believe, is the first.
2020 will go and then fix it in.
Phase it in. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of hoops to jump through.
Well, so that means we still have a few years. As far as having this as a goal, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
even then, even if we're not producing a budget, I think the decisions that we make can still ultimately have effect on maybe.
So,
I guess it really depends on how redistricting.
yeah, it all depends on the maps.
What
And
the new board formations is.
if they can even produce maps that agree.
They're still gonna have to manage spending the money that they get from the state. Where's it gonna go? Where's it going to? What for? So that doesn't entirely go away. We just don't have control over what we take in. Unless you want to add to it.
No, there'll be another board that oversees that. Won't be us. Will not be a local board.
Understood.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
So it'll be kind of a cookie cutter approach.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so so how do people feel about this goal? Keeping it, and maybe we can look at similar to the first goal, looking at different methods. Because it says set timeline for future process and vision. Like we did that, but I mean, like as far as the action items go, those can change potentially. That's the way I kind of see it.
So a living document.
Yeah, because I would say, at this point, and I hate to say this because we put a lot of time into number two, you know what I'm going to say, is to look at something different, but,
Well, I think maybe the number one becomes a higher priority, or more energy ought to be put into that, the shared resource. As
Yeah.
opposed to consolidation.
exactly. I mean, we put a lot of time and effort into it, and it just stopped. But okay, so yeah, I think so I'm not hearing anyone want to get rid of this one as well. So,
Nope.
All right, on to third goal: student preparedness. Focus on whole student growth preparedness for advancement with regular monitoring progress and program. Let's see. So I think a huge component to this is the assessment piece. Which we monitor as the results. And Amanda?
Can you guys hear me?
Uh,
I think
Yeah.
something else with this school that might help us is another school in our area invited their 7th and 8th grade students to come speak with their 6th graders. And they kind of told the 6th graders what they wished they knew before they left and went to 7th grade, and what they kind of learned from going there. And I think that maybe if the board helped guide our schools to hold an event like that, similar to the thing that we did for like school choice, then we could hear from our students in other schools that have gone on to 7th and 8th grade, and maybe they have input that we haven't thought of.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a, I guess like an action item for this goal, for sure. In
Yeah,
terms
I
of,
think the school choice thing went really well, and I think that if we did something similar with inviting 7th and 8th graders from all of the other schools, you know, all of our Wells and Middletown 6th graders that have gone on to 7th and 8th grade, to, even if they do it in one school and talk to everybody at once, then the board could also attend, even if it's just a couple of members, and you could hear what the kids have to say, and maybe it's something we haven't considered. I just know another school did it in the area, and they had really good feedback. So.
okay. Yeah. In terms of this goal itself, I mean, you feel this is something we should keep, or?
I absolutely think we should keep it. I think we still need to work on our preparedness for junior high and high school. Personally, I don't know if everyone else agrees, but I definitely think it's something we should continue to monitor.
Okay. Anyone else? Does anyone feel that this isn't a good goal to keep or a priority for the board?
For now.
I mean, I'm fine with that. It, you know, again, we did these, what, back in 2020? And, I think some, personally, I think when I look at a lot of these super goals, I think some things, were more of a focus than others, but, when I think, when you look at, what was it, the, what do you call it? We had, other high schools come in for the 6th graders.
The choice.
Yeah, the choice.
Fair.
Yeah, the choice fair. Thank you. I'm trying to see where that was at, but I remember that was one thing that, kind of fell in as part of this, discussion, and, okay. So, it doesn't sound like we really need to actually have, any kind of like retreat if we all feel that all of this stuff still is relevant and valid for our priorities and focus, then, that kind of answers that. And I would imagine that, as things unfold with legislation, and we'll have a better picture. But in the meantime, we still have students and teachers and families, and so, yeah. And I think one thing that we might do, unless anyone objects, is that just kind of looking at our like work plan here. And as mentioned earlier, we have, maybe just different action items. That might be something that, we look at in August and, go through and, think about, how we want to move forward with some of these goals, if that makes sense. So some of the potential, action items that we can think about move forward, because some of this stuff on here has already been done. There's no sense in having it. And there's not a whole lot that's 100%, but
Well, we're not ready to start this now, but thinking about it for next year, it might be understanding where I think it's called Act 73 now, formerly H454, where we land in it. And so next summer we'll have a better idea and maybe dig into it during a retreat.
next year.
Yeah, for next summer. So like, I don't know if that's a goal to be thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, if we're gonna,
Like, so the board fully understands where we are at that time as a group,
I see.
as opposed to just reading Chris's information and Lola DeFore's information, and, you know, and really spending some time and reflecting on where these schools, yes, the set of information we'll have at that time will be entirely different than what we have right now.
Do you think that's something that, you know, we should put on our radar now?
I'd like to plan for it, I guess is what I'm trying to.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt, honestly.
But I don't want to go chasing things that aren't facts yet, aren't in stone yet,
Yeah.
because we're not there.
So Eric, just to support Meredith saying, I think a lot's going to happen next legislative session. I think that would then line up with what Meredith's saying about the summer.
see.
Because once they have the maps in place, there will be a lot of things happening in that late winter, early spring.
Okay.
And we might want to be brainstorming what kind of positioning we can do for our schools.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that sounds fine. And then even if we don't even have to wait until next summer. Like, I mean, if the legislative session concludes or even the maps are drawn in, you know, March or May or something, like we can start figuring this out then to put it on the agenda, honestly. So it doesn't have to be before.
Yeah, well, sort of a goal though.
What's that?
It's still a goal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a direction.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the goals? Suggestions, comments, complaints? All right. Sounds good. We move on to new business. Rural School Community Alliance update. So, you have in your packet just some informational stuff from the RSCA. I sent the map, which I thought was interesting. But you know, the other part was the redistricting structures, and I think, you know, this is probably going to be a topic of discussion as we keep moving forward because of the redistricting component to the legislation. So this was sent two members from the RSCA and suggestion about your district and how you want to remain in a supervisory union or supervisory district. And, you know, I guess the point is that, from a rural school community alliance perspective, if you're in a supervisory union, your districts remain the same, and your supervisory district, you're not, it'll be a different structure. So, and so they sent the two, motions for the boards to consider. So that's why that's in there. That's why it's on the agenda. Meredith and I were talking about this, leading up to setting the agenda. And a lot of this stuff too, like this came out like a week before, like it's relatively new. So I don't know, did anyone have any questions or did I miss anything?
I don't know if the motion changes a little now because it's an act, but, for what little it does, I'm in favor of making school district statement or motion for
Okay.
our district. I don't know about making a motion yet because we're still discussing.
Right. And even, has everyone had a chance to read it, by the way? I mean, we'll read it out loud too, but, the board read it. And I would imagine like, we can change this to, you said Act 71.
I think it's Act 73.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it before.
Is this the generic version school, SU statement, school district statement? Is this what we're referring to?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did
And for
read
us-
it. I had some comments on it.
Okay. And it would just be the school district statement that we're considering. So, I mean, yeah, we could change it to Act 73, but
I mean, other than that, I think it's important that if this is something the board agrees to, that it's
yeah.
that it's been said and a motion is made. I don't know what kind of teeth it'll have, but
Matt, you had some questions?
Yeah. So from the school district statement, what exactly are we saying that we want to be? We're good to be in a larger school district? Is that like a supervisory district? Is that we're just saying that okay, we agree to the terms?
we want to
Or
be
is
in
it? Or are we saying are we going to be in a specific school supervisory union district?
I think it'd be an SU actually, supervisory union.
Okay.
Yep. It's basically saying that we want to stay in a supervisory union, and we plan on basically informing the task force and working with the supervisory union, and even if it means exploring and combining into a larger supervisory union, and and like I said, with the RSCA, their perspective on this is that with supervisory unions, you still stay in your school district. Hypothetically. So, Mary?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like just going through it with Matt in my head. I'm just wondering if this addresses school choice at all, or if we're not really worried about that.
I think it doesn't address school choice directly, except that there's a diversity of entities, districts in an SU. And so this would be saying that we see the value of that diversity and being supported by a supervisory.
Okay, right. I was just wondering if that would limit us, in any way in that regard, but.
Like,
And I'm sort of walking around and not being direct, but does this statement, if we are sort of at the mercy of these minimum class sizes and potentially school sizes, does this say we can, or does this say we can or cannot potentially merge with like a Meadowy that's outside of our current supervisory union? It does
So,
not.
yeah, I mean, similarly, like, Meadowy's part of another,
Right.
supervisory union. So it gets really complicated. And so that's, that's why if advocating that we want to stay in an SU, right? It's just important. Like it may, kind of like Meredith, like it may not mean anything. Like this task force can look at all of these schools within an area and they can say, you know what, nope, this is how things are going to be. And I think the whole point of this is that we're basically advocating on how we want to be restructured, right? Yeah.
Because the state wanted to turn it all into SDs and get rid of the supervisory union model altogether. And that, I think, this coalition of, what is it, like 100 entities now in the state, if you look at that map, it's strength in numbers. We are not the only ones doing this, but by doing this, we join a coalition of people, entities doing this. I've long said, while Act 46 may not have saved us any money, our district, was Middletown at the time, but also Wells, gained a tremendous amount in SU support. We did not have a comprehensive SU as a smaller SU. And the support system that we're in now as a merged SU is just phenomenal compared to where we were. And so if we go away to to an SD structure, those central offices are going to be few and far between.
George?
I think what I got out of it, and this goes back to the RSU meeting last week, is that apparently there's already been feelers out between more local school districts about trying to propose to this board combinations that make more sense, that are more centralized, definitely more centralized for us. I mean, that first proposal had us with Bennington. If nothing else, if we combine with Slate Valley, Quarry Valley, Rutland City, the kids are not going to go too far. The kids are going to not go. You may not have a choice. You may not have a choice. So
We won't have choice then.
anyway,
All our
point-
choice will be gone.
my point being is that this is a way to maybe make it a little bit better, if nothing else, by keeping the kids a little bit more local. You want shipping the back, then ship them back.
Yeah, and I think just looking at, it might be a couple of years, it could be several years, but and this is where things get tough, because on any hypothetical map, if when everything's said and done, if we're part of a supervisory district, there goes that local voice, that local control. And I think that's, to me, one of the bigger concerns, right? And you're going to have a different board that could potentially come in and say, okay, we're going to shut down this school and we're going to ship those students here. So, I mean, it's hard because over the last, couple of years, we've literally been talking about consolidation. But my perspective on it is that, we get to make the decision in conjunction with our communities. And, it just sucks we never got, to the end point on that. But anyway, so I think advocating for a supervisory union, with the redistricting, is, it, you know, we're basically advocating for our communities. That's where the structure we want to be. And even after that's done, that's what that's going to look like. We just go from there. But, and again, this may not mean anything, I'm sure that, the task force probably going to get a dozen of these and they're going to be like, okay. But well, at least we're doing something.
No, look at it this way. If we hand them like a plan, that might make their life a little bit easier. Hey, you're close to the targets we're looking for. It's more centralized. It might be very attractive to them. It may not be, but it's worth doing something.
Can I say it back so I make sure I understand it? So this is basically saying, hey, we will play ball. We agree with being in one of these larger school districts, but we just want as well this extra layer, the supervisory union, be it whatever that union is, just for more local control. Is that essentially what we're saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And part of the statement, one of the key components, part of the statement though, it says, and we'll work with the SU board to reach out to contiguous school districts and to explore combining into larger supervisory union. So I think, also what that says is that it's basically like, we're not going to fight the legislation. We're going to, we want to work with it, but we want to remain in an SU. That's how I interpret it,
Eric, just to clarify, regardless of the model with the foundation formula in play, there may be some local control, but the ability to vote on a local budget is gone.
Yeah.
Regardless of the model. I just want to make sure we're aware of that still. So I think there are some people who believe that that's still is on the table. And I think that with the foundation formula, that goes away.
If they don't approve a map. The only.
Correct. That's the Hail Mary. Yeah. I just wanted to just clarify that because I think there is that local control, but the budget, which has been kind of drawing a lot of criticism the past couple of years around the cost and how to maintain that cost. When the foundation formula is in place, that local taxpayers will no longer be voting on the school budget. The districts will benefit in a lot of areas with more money, but the taxpayers may not, just depending on where they're at.
Okay. Anyone else? Have any questions? Okay. So, just looking at this here, I don't know if, I'm just looking at the wording. And it doesn't sound like anyone's really opposed to this from what I'm, under the terms of Act 73.
And we also need to get rid of task force when it is established. Just be to the task force.
I mean, maybe let's both Act 73 and H454, put one in parentheses or something, so no one's confused. Because the papers, papers have all been 454.
No, they started talking about Act 73
Yeah, but-
now.
Have they read it?
You can put Act 73, parentheses, formula H454.
Yeah, I would list both.
And then, even strike out as approved on June 16th by the Senate, House of Representatives,
And put S signed by the governor.
that's a good one. We all know that was July 1st. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. How about this? The Wells Springs Unified Union School District moves to remain within a supervisory union within a larger governance region to the extent practicable under the terms of Act 73, formerly page 454, as signed by the governor on July 1st. I gotta write this down. Yep, I already did.
125.
Yep, 5. And then strike out as approved.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. Then the Wells Springs Unified Union School District will submit our statement of intent to the redistricting task force, the new redistricting task force. Strike out when it is formed or when it's established. And will work with the SU board to reach out to contiguous school districts, including.
I don't think you need to write including.
Okay, sounds good. Districts to, I think that was optional. Contiguous school districts to explore combining into a larger supervisory union. Our purpose is to optimize cost saving and efficiencies where possible, while maintaining local democratic engagement, oversight, and accountability in order to achieve excellent educational outcomes for our communities, children, and youth at the cost Vermonters can afford. One heck of a motion, but
Should we be more specific on when we say we'll work with the SU board? Should we say with our SU board, with Greater Rutland County? Just be more specific.
yeah, with,
Well, it could be any SU board. Maybe.
I thought our SU is the one who's actually going to be doing the outreach.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, me too.
We will work
So
with,
I
reach out. Yeah, because, and any kind of collaboration with others would have to come through the SU.
yes.
Yeah.
So I just,
So it's not like, yeah. So strike out or just put,
or
Oh,
just,
GRCSU. there.
just say we'll work with GR.
okay. We'll work with GRCSU board.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other edits? All right. So it reads, Matt?
Sorry, if we're specific about this, the Grixu, does that deny the possibility of a Meadowy merger?
I don't know. It just means that
Because they're in
Okay.
Bennington, supervisory union.
yeah, it just means that we intend to work with the GRCSU board to reach out to contiguous school districts.
Well, they are they're not a school district, but yeah, yes, it is. Meadoway is a school district.
Mhm.
I don't see why.
To explore combining into a larger supervisory.
It's just, like you said, it's working through the SU.
Yes.
So that the SU would be essentially contacting their SU.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
That works. Just wanted to make sure we weren't, I don't know, limiting ourselves with our language, but okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, like, a lot of this stuff is already happening. Like, we're not the only ones talking about this stuff.
I mean, if anything, this may organize it a little bit better.
Well, we'll be ready to act that's because the board has decided that this is something they want to do.
Yes.
So we won't have to wait to go
Instead
through
of-
this process.
We're having the discussions now, and a lot of this is just basically in reaction to legislation. But, okay, so I'll read it again now that we've edited it. The Well Springs Unified Union School District moves to remain within a supervisory union within a larger governance region to the extent practicable under the terms of Act 73, formerly H 454, as signed by the governor on July 1st. The Well Springs Unified Union School District will submit our statement of intent to the new redistricting task force and will work with the Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union Board to reach out to contiguous school districts to explore combining into a larger supervisory union. Our purpose is to optimize cost savings and efficiencies where possible while maintaining local democratic engagement, oversight, and accountability in order to achieve excellent educational outcomes for our communities, children, and youth at a cost our monitors can afford. That is the motion. Any other discussion on this? Someone want to make or move this, or
I will make that motion that we approve that.
motion by George? Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, that is unanimous. Motion carries. Okay, and I think the next component to this is that at some point we'll submit a statement of intent. So I think to the redistricting task force. I personally don't think it should just be this. I think we should actually form some sort of
Letter?
statement. I guess that's just my opinion, but that's up to the board. And maybe that's something that we can take on in August.
Does the Rural Alliance suggest publishing this also?
Yeah, in the email, they said, and maybe I'm misreading this. Maybe this was the statement that they were referring to, that it's being referred to. But I think they did say in there that when your board has done this, let us know, basically, because I think they want to keep track of how many districts are doing this. Okay.
Strength in numbers.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So I'll find out more information, but that's something that we don't have to do tonight.
Letting the public know we've done this is good. It's going to open some eyes, at least, to maybe have people questioning what the heck's going on, and they're going to look into it more.
Yeah, I mean, good and bad, there might be folks who are like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So,
Ask questions, please.
yep, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, any other further discussion on this? Well, actually, no. All right. General public comment. We're on the second portion of our public comment. Did anyone have any comments tonight at all?
I don't know if this is the time, but I had I'm Marsha, I don't know if it's saved the record. I'm Marsha Turner, I'm the president of the GEAR, Greater Rutland Education Association. But when you guys were going over your goals, you talked about like outreach and you talked about a high school fair. And I just thought like I was there, and if you guys ever asked like the 7th and 8th grade teachers of the receiving schools to see what their suggestions were. I know that one of the board members, I think, suggested like inviting the 7th and 8th graders back to talk to your graders, which is awesome. I don't work at Rutland Town, so we have school choice as well. I know that our 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade teachers actually communicate with many of our students go to Rutland City. So the Rutland High School teachers in 9th grade, and to see like, are they getting what they need? Are they prepared and so forth? And to see the guidance counselor. So kind of thought of that when you were talking about that. I was wondering about asking those sending schools, teachers, like, how are our kids doing? Is there something that we specifically, like, I don't know if this was an idea. I don't know if you've already done it, but, and I'm not sure if that was common, but sorry. It's just I thought it was a kind of an interesting suggestion, maybe. Thank you.
No, that's,
Good
thank
suggestion.
you. And I think that's always been a challenge too, having students, go to so many different schools for choice.
Yeah.
It's being able to follow up, you don't know, unless they're, within a GRCSU school.
I think we end up wanting to prepare them for in the best way we can because they are largely going to one school or another.
Yeah.
Everybody's systems are fairly different.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? Okay. Next meeting, August 13th, at Wells. Again, any agenda items, reach out. We think of a couple things you have on the agenda, essentially, but, that's all I have for tonight, so take a motion to adjourn. 7:11.
I'll make that motion.
By Amanda, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Motion carried, unanimous.